I gotta try to get a thumbnail. What face do I make?
An eternity later.
Hi, my name is Asia. If you've never seen me before, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first official video. I know that I have another video on my channel that I posted about a year ago that you may have already seen, or maybe you saw the title of it coming here. The reason I'm not considering that my first video is because that is different from the content that I plan on making, and that video is more of a serious topic, and it was my story, and it's not something that I'm gonna profit off of or anything to that effect. I am sorry if you hear music in the background. My roommate just got home, so I'm gonna try to speak up so y'all can hear me. Yeah, so I don't really consider that my first video, but if you would like to go watch it just to be more aware, just to be mindful, because some of y'all ain't shit and don't know boundaries. But we're not even, that's another story for another day. That's another different conversation. We're gonna get into it on this channel. On my channel, I plan to make content that kind of just aligns with me and who I am as a person. If you know me, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, keep watching and you'll find out more. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so if you read the title of this video, it is the bare minimum chokehold, meaning we will be talking about the bare minimum. I actually made notes so I can hit on like points and not ramble, because I tend to do that. So we're gonna talk about what the bare minimum is, why women are more likely to accept the bare minimum, and how to change. So what is the bare minimum? For those of you who don't know, it's weird because I actually wanted to look up the exact definition of bare minimum, but they don't really have a lot of good ones, or the ones that I'm like the definition I'm looking for regarding relationships. So we're just gonna, go with it. Though I'm sure most of you guys know what bare minimum is. Bare minimum is the smallest, the least possible smallest amount acceptable. That is the definition online. But in my own words, when it comes to relationship bare minimum, it's basically when someone is doing the absolute least. It's not bad, but it's kind of expected. Like, that's the least that they can do. They're not going above and beyond in any sort of way. And if you've been dating in our society in this day and age, you know that the bare minimum is actually a huge problem that we don't talk about enough, in my opinion. I feel like a lot of people settle for the bare minimum just to say that they're in a relationship, or simply because they're afraid to be by themselves, which once again, that's another topic for another video. But a lot of people do accept the bare minimum, and it's not just women, because I have definitely talked to men and had male friends that also accept the bare minimum. Let it go, please, because I feel like the more that we glorify the bare minimum, the more we'll accept it, the more we'll start looking at that as the standard, when it shouldn't be. Like, the bare minimum that's the least you should do. Bare minimum should not get somebody in a relationship, in my opinion. Like, if you're able to do stuff like, stuff like texting back fast, being loyal, taking someone on a date, paying for a date. I'm not gonna say all dates because that's different, but paying for a date. Little things like that, sure, is cool. You're not doing anything that somebody else couldn't do. You get what I'm saying? So little things in that sense, listening, communicating, stuff like that, even though it's rare, it's still the bare minimum. And I feel like that's a part of the reason why the bare minimum has become, the best to us. I'm sorry, y'all, this is my first video, so I'm gonna be a little nervous. Work with me. We're gonna get this. So now that I poorly explained what the bare minimum is, let's get into why women are more likely to accept the bare minimum than men. This is just my opinion. This is what I've seen. I've interacted with, I have a lot of female friends, and I am a female. That's why I want to make it clear that this video is not to bash anyone. Maybe a little, but I can do that because I have been a victim to the bare minimum many times. Me and the bare minimum know each other very, very well. To this day, I'm still working on it, but I tend to fall for the bare minimum simply because I'm not used to getting the bare minimum, and that's how I know. Let's go. So one of my points, the first thing I said was women are groomed from young ages to idolize love and relationships unlike boys. So this is actually really interesting because this topic is something that we brought up in my love and sex class, which is basically just a gender studies class. It's actually a very, very interesting class, and if you have it on campus or if you go to Kennesaw State University, I suggest you take it. But that's something that we were talking about this week, how from a very, very young age, women are taught to idolize love, look for a Prince Charming. It's like we've been groomed to think that once we get older, we have to be a wife, we have to be a mom. Like, that's the only way to be happy as a woman. That's the only way of life. Like, to this day, my grandparents, anytime I go to a family function, it's, Asia, do you have a boyfriend? Are you dating? Why? Why is that always a question? Why does it matter? Like, I even said to my grandma one time, because I have a list of everything that I want in a guy, including physical. Most people know this. I like my men tall. I like my men 6'2" and up. Yes, I'm short. Mind your fucking business. Anyway, I said that to my grandma once, and she was like, Asia, you don't want your standards so high that you can't get somebody, or it's not reachable for some people. That's literally the point. That is literally the point. And she's just like, oh, you might never find someone. You might end up being single for a really long time, yada, yada, yada. Okay, why do we talk about being single as if it's this disease, as if it's the baddest thing in the world? There's people dying, Kim. It's not that serious. Being single is actually, in my opinion, very good for you and very, very necessary, but some people don't know that. All of that to say. So I feel like women are groomed from very young ages. Just look at the type of things that we were introduced to or things that we watched, like Disney princess movies. They didn't start making Disney princesses more independent and less boy driven until recently, but I know growing up, we grew up off of stories like Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, things like that, where you always see a Prince Charming coming in to rescue the poor girl or the dumb girl or the sleep girl. You get what I'm saying? It always had to be a man to come save the day. So that right there already tells you. Don't ask me about shows. I don't remember any shows with real people as a kid. I like Dora and Elmo, so that's all I fucking watched. But just as far as movies go, I just know that relationships were put on a pedestal, and I do remember wanting a relationship as a kid, as a child. A relationship? Girl, bye. Anyway, number 2 is daddy and mommy issues. So I really hope a family member doesn't watch this, because this is actually kind of personal to me. I know other people can relate to it, but I am going to tell my own personal stories. I have both mommy and daddy issues for sure, for sure, without a doubt. And don't get me wrong, my parents are great people. They've come a long way. But growing up, I do feel like I was very neglected, physically and emotionally. My parents worked a lot, so they weren't really present. I was either with a family member or with friends, but I was not home a lot as a child. And even when I was with my parents, for the small amount of times they were there, I was not validated emotionally. My parents actually constantly invalidated my emotions as a kid, which I'm sure that a lot of Black people can relate to, because we're just not allowed to have feelings as kids. I don't know. But you know, that whole statement, stop crying before I give you something to cry about, I'm positive everyone's heard that before. But that's not the only times. My parents said many things to me as a kid that stuck with me and fucked me up. So that's great. But specifically touching on daddy issues, because I am a straight woman, so I go after men like my father. My dad is extremely emotionally unavailable. He's trying, but I am about to be 20. Might be a little too late for that, but he's trying nonetheless. As a child, like I said, my parents are married. My parents have been married for 20 years, but my father and my mother, though they worked a lot, both of them, my dad worked in the night. So when he was home during the day, he was asleep or not worried about taking care of his child or checking in on his child for real, because, you know, he had to get rested for work. So he just wasn't really there. I was very active in school and clubs and things of that sort as a child. It was kind of to keep me busy. I know that's why my mom put me in all of that stuff, and she was there, but you know, I had to have at least one parent there. She was there, but my father was not. My father just kind of became really absent as I got older. When I was younger, like the cute age up until 6 and 7, my parents adored me. They made it clear that they adored me, but then it's like once I reached 2nd, 3rd grade, it kind of all just stopped abruptly. And I guess it's because parents don't realize I need you throughout my entire childhood, not the first 7 years, but whatever. When you have issues with your parents, a lot of times you repeat what you see, if that makes sense. If your father wasn't there, or he never treated your mom the way she should have been treated, or the way she deserved, or you know, just treated her like a queen, if you didn't see that, of course, once you get older and once you start dating, you're not really gonna know what to look for, if that makes sense. You might not do it on purpose, but you're going to mirror the relationships you saw, even if and it doesn't have to be forever, because some people, like, you know, either want to do different from their parents, they're like, oh, I never want to be like them, or they accidentally repeat the patterns. But that's fine. That's fine, because we're on a journey and we're learning and we're healing, and that's all that matters. My last one was father wasn't really a good role model, wasn't a good model for how a man should treat a woman. That kind of goes along the same lines of what I was saying. Mind you, I am speaking from my personal experience. That is all I can speak from. I just kind of realized that my dad was never bad to my mom or me. He was not a bad father or husband. He's not. It's just he's kind of the example of the bare minimum at times. What I personally want in a relationship, now that I know what I want, I don't really see it with my parents, and that's fine, because my mom is a different woman for me and their dynamics are different from what I want in my relationship, and that is fine. My father never really showed me how a man should treat me. I don't even think we really had that conversation much. And I feel like fathers don't know how important that is, especially with women, because we tend to make the really bad decisions with men. So I don't know, just having a good role model and having someone to guide you and tell you, hey, a man is supposed to treat you like this, not like this. A man should be here for you in this type of way, not this type of way. Like, shit like that is extremely important, and parents, they should just be more mindful when it comes to that. So lastly, how to change. So my first topic is knowing yourself. Actually, knowing yourself, loving yourself, and healing yourself. We're gonna speak on all three of those at the same time, because I feel like they all go hand in hand. In order to love and heal yourself, you have to know yourself. Y'all might hate me for this, but I feel like this is why it's extremely, extremely, extremely important to be single. And when I say single, I mean single, because in solitude is where you get clarity. It's where you learn the most about yourself. A pattern that I'm noticing with dating in our generation is that a lot of people tend to jump from one relationship to the next and don't give themselves the time to heal, or simply, you know, to be alone. They don't give themselves the time, and it's because a lot of people are scared to be by themselves. A lot of people don't know how to be by themselves, and I think it's a very huge problem that's not talked about enough. Why are you afraid to be alone? What are you afraid of? A self-love video is definitely another video I'm gonna make. That might actually be my next video, because Valentine's Day is coming up and I already know what kind of shit that's gonna bring, so that might be my next video. I just think being single is extremely important, just so you figure out who you are and what you want. It's really hard to figure out what you want when you continue to jump from relationship to relationship, and when you're unhealed, there's no way you're gonna find a relationship that actually works out for you. I'm sorry. My other point is knowing exactly what you want. Like I said, these all kind of go hand in hand. So you learn what you want in solitude. You learn what you want from past experiences that may not have worked out, and that's okay. I feel like we have to stop looking at relationships or situations that didn't work out as bad. Of course, in the moment you can sulk, you can feel like shit, you can hate the person, but reflection is extremely important in anything in life, not just relationships. But since that's the topic we're on, it's very important to reflect, and I personally like writing things like this down, not typing, but actually getting a journal and writing, because it kind of just helps you get a flow going. Once you do it, you'll get what I'm saying. You have to write out what you do and don't want. And you learn this from experience. I feel like that's why you should never regret relationships, because there's always a lesson. A person comes in your life as a blessing or a lesson. Everyone knows this. So something can be learned from every situation in life. Don't forget that. And everything happens for you, not to you. Look at your past relationships and kind of write out things, or write out behaviors that you want. You can even write out behaviors that you don't want, that you don't like, you know, things that you've noticed. If you notice a pattern, I think noticing patterns is also extremely important. You need to just get all your thoughts out on paper, figure out what you want, and go from there. Once you figure out what you want, here's the biggest thing and my last thing. Do not settle. Do you hear me? Do you really hear me? Do not settle. Don't do it. At the end of the day, you deserve everything that you want. You will get everything that you want within divine timing. But in order to get that, you have to focus on yourself, love yourself, elevate yourself, and it'll come to you. You know, you attract everything that you're in alignment with, but the only way to get into alignment with the things that you truly want is to be happy by yourself and figure out what you want by yourself and learn how to love yourself and be with yourself by yourself. You feel me? See, I'm really spitting, but y'all don't know. You ain't there yet. I feel like this video was so kind of chaotic. My overall notes, the biggest takeaway I want everybody to have from this video is to know what you want and don't settle. That's it. And learn how to be by yourself. Y'all stop jumping from relationship to relationship thinking that it's gonna work out. It's not gonna work out. I saw this quote on Instagram and it was like, you're going to continue to run across the same person in a different body until you learn the lesson from it. And I think I've witnessed this firsthand, because I've definitely said, before I even saw this quote, I said I continue to date and be interested in men that are exactly alike, just in different bodies, and kind of like have tiny differences in personality, but overall it's the same issue. I keep running across the exact same issue with guys, and it's because I haven't learned. It's because I haven't handled the situation the way I'm supposed to handle the situation. You feel me? Be single, be by yourself. You know that video? Stand up. Stand up.
You hoes act like if you ain't in no relationship, you gon' die. Y'all be weak in the knees. Stand up. Stand up.
Y'all stop acting like y'all need a relationship to breathe. Y'all don't. You were born by yourself. You're going to die by yourself. And I promise, being single is not the end of the world. Being single on Valentine's Day is not the end of the world. I continuously see posts talking about, oh, I don't have a Valentine. I'm single on Valentine's Day. Okay. And get over it. Life goes on. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Your support means everything to me, and I'm gonna be consistent, and we're gonna get into it, and this is gonna be great. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I will see you very, very soon. Bye.